Hello.
Welcome to the Teacher Out
Sorry,
podcast.
Got something in my eye. Yeah, welcome.
What's the matter with
Hi,
you?
who are you? I just got something in my eye. I don't know
right?
what it is. I don't know what it is. It could be anything.
Could be ash from a car. Could be anything. How are you? I'm Miles Pennell, as usual. Aside me is my comedy sidekick.
Well, I wouldn't sit aside you. I'm opposite you.
Opposite me is my comedy sidekick, Chris Moyles.
And yeah, I'm Comedy Dave.
You'd be Comedy Dave, wouldn't you? Oh, have you got loads of comedy for today?
Oh, I've got a lot of comedy. Oh, it's so funny. No, it's a bit shit actually today.
Oh.
If you are listening at the beginning, I would turn off because it's not going to be.
Not on this one, but it is a good episode. It's going to be a bloody good episode.
No, I don't think it is.
You don't think it is?
No, I think it's.
You just listen to the Detroit as well. Gary, how was your week?
Can I just do something? Hello and welcome to How Big Are the Wheels? I'm Gary Forrestal. You might as well. That's what it could have been. That's just an option that it could
Say
have been.
Say it
again. Hello and welcome to How Big Are the Wheels?
How big? I don't even know that quote.
That's in the quote in the show. I'm seriously.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's in this show.
Pathetic.
Did you even listen to the show?
I did listen to the show on my way here.
As listeners that would know more about this than Miles, this is one of the quotes from this show, and this was a potential name that I considered for the actual name of this podcast, and I think it would have been a bit better.
Yeah. This episode.
That look when you set your stall out, you say something. Just look into your eyes. It's fear. All I can see in your eyes is fear. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's all I get.
This episode.
Miles, tell us about this episode.
I was going to do that. This is from the 16th of October, 2002, and in this episode, Ricky's got a hangover for the second week of Rockbusters, and Karl wants to be Frog Boy. Educating Ricky has its second instalment, and this is like a thing that sort of dominates the episode, isn't it? Ricky's got a hangover at the start of this episode.
Yeah. Actually, this dominates. There's another episode, I think it's episode 18, which we'll get to, but where he's hungover. But this one, he's hungover.
I think he's drunk.
The show. I think he's hungover, but
I think he's in that bit where like you think all of the alcohol's left your system, and some of some of the residual alcohol is still there, and enough that you think I'm just going to really annoy everyone.
Yeah,
because it is fun to annoy people.
One thing
I know that for true.
Yeah, you do annoy me now. One thing I'd never do is ever present the show drunk. As you'd know.
Gary, have you had a lot of time to present the show?
I've had a lot of time to present the show today. In fact, I'd honestly say this show is. I'd be lying, Miles, if I didn't say that this show was in my top 5.
I think it's probably in mine too. I think
also
because it's like a proper turning point. This is like, pull the handbrake and swerve to the left. This is a real game changer in terms of dynamic between the three, because Ricky is really getting under the skin of Karl Pilkington, because he's like, I'm with you, Steve. He hasn't got a lot to do this week. You're having a laugh.
Yeah.
So
I would say that the attitude of Karl to Ricky does change slightly this episode, but I wouldn't call it a complete change in direction. I would say this is more. I don't think this show is pivotal in the there's some shows that I think are pivotal, like the introduction of Rockbusters, the introduction of Karl being able to do a game that other people who are listening can contribute to. And there's some other changes too, like there's the episode where Karl really truly gets pissed off, and that episode, which I think 44, sets up the whole of series 3.
Yeah,
like getting Mondays off, all this thing.
Yeah,
but he destroyed a man, Steve. But no, I know what you mean. But I'd just say this episode is just funny in and of itself. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's just a really good episode.
I think it's just because Karl like he is in control of the show, and respect that he is very much producing like the show. Like he's got his features, he knows how they're going to work, he knows how they're going to be laid out. He's producing the show in a way that he didn't beforehand. Like he's got his set features now, he's set them all up rolling, like he knows how they're going to be.
Yeah.
I should say at this point, sorry, if you haven't listened to the show, do pause now and then come back to us after. I'm going to put a link to the original episode.
Do pause now and never come back.
No, do come back, because I don't want you to be like that. But come back now. Okay, now. You're going to come back now.
Oh,
now.
they just Ian Clever, like they did, as if they. Oh, and here we are again.
Yeah, exactly.
So they've just listened to the whole episode. So now they're like, yeah. But I think that it's just. I think the interaction between, and I think this becomes key, is that Steve is like a foil to Karl and Ricky's interactions, and I think that starts in this episode.
Yeah.
He is particularly in this episode. Like, it's about Ricky and Karl, but Steve is a great foil. Like, I don't know, it just, for me, it's something.
I love that thing that Ricky says. He goes, any reason why you're hungover? Too much wine.
Too much wine.
But then he also says, but who can plan a hangover?
But
which is true.
My favourite bit is the very, very beginning, where he says the word doves, because he is slightly half laughing under his breath, because he's not laughing, like, it's not audible, and it's not like a wild Ricky laugh, but he's like, doves, and he just knows that Steve knows he's completely hungover, and Karl knows,
when he goes,
but just doves caught by the river on XFM 104.9.
Steve, Karl Pilkington and everything. Alright.
Alright, and then Steve just laughs a bit, but it's like Steve knows. Ricky, you've got one thing, because at this time, I don't think they were right in the second series. I think they'd done the second series of The Office, or they'd done the first series and they weren't right in the second. He had nothing to do with this show in a week.
And also the fact that he's sort of joking about when he says, I haven't had a lot of time to prepare the show. He literally had nothing to do. All he had to do was turn up at a radio station and talk absolute drivel to Karl Pilkington and Steve Merchant.
Yeah, but to be fair to him, it actually is a great show, and Ricky is a big part of that. But Ricky can do it hungover, you know. I couldn't. But...
Well, I've seen you do shows hungover.
Yeah, but I'm also getting drunk at the same time. So
it cancels that
out. Doesn't count.
Oh no, I think this is definitely one of the. What are your top points from this episode?
I mean, out of all the educating Rickers that they do, this is the best.
What's tomato with you?
That's one of them, but then I'm thinking it's a great educating Ricky, but actually there is a better educating Ricky, which I think is next week, which is not his fault, but we won't save that.
Have you ever used any of Karl Pilkington's educating Ricky segments in real life?
No, but
if you're being relaying factoids, they do on Steve Wright.
No, but I've used his sayings to unsuspecting people who don't know what they mean, and it's not to be funny, because they wouldn't find it funny. I mean, there's one thing that Ricky says, that this episode, out of all the things we quote to each other in the show, this is the one we do more than any. I wish I had that. That's what we do. How often do we do that to each other? If anyone said, I've got this wine, I wish I had that. You know, it's getting boring probably. To anyone else who's listening, even a fan of the show, it'd be boring, but to us, we love it.
Please do email in. What is your email in? Oh, you can tweet us now at trout_D. And
Why did I sign up?
Twat us your favourite things that you've used in common parlance that you've taken from the Ricky Gervais show, because I'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
And do you ever say things in company that people look at you and go, what?
Yeah. Because I did it with The Office, actually. Someone I work with, I always said this was before I discovered you've ruined it. Yeah, before I discovered the shows, I always said to this guy, to everyone in my life, not to be funny, because it's not funny on its own. It's not funny, but I always said in a way, and I always said it like that, in a way. And I looked to the side, and this guy I worked with, who's training me at the time in fraud, he said. That's from The Office, isn't it? He's like, why do you keep saying that? And then it became a thing between us. But that I always do Ricky stuff and stuff.
I think it's really nice when you can go, what you listen to the Ricky Gervais show? If you can pick up a...
No, that was an Office
No,
thing.
I know, but I've had encounters with people who have said a joke and they clearly have taken it from the show, and they think that I don't understand what they're saying, and they go, hang on a minute, I know where that's from.
Well, you go work in media. Well, when you work in fraud, you meet less people who listen to the Ricky Gervais show. I don't work in fraud now.
No. I like what he says. It's like, when people do remember it, he goes, I think it keeps people interested. He said, if you say a headline, it keeps people... And they go... And it's just when Gervais goes, no, they've forgotten immediately. They've forgotten immediately.
Yeah, that's not on this show, is it? Oh, is it? Okay. God, we both seem like we don't know what we're talking about. I said at the beginning, you didn't even know what I was talking about.
Gary, I want to there was a moment in the show where they have an encounter with a bloke with a ponytail, and he says, "I've just nicked one of your CD and nicked one of your DVDs," and he said he described Karl Pilkington describes him as being like the shady character from like the Far Show, and like he said, what does he do? Does he sell them? And to emphasise this, what sort of price people would pay for old office memorabilia, we're going to play a game of Strike It Ricky, alright?
I was unaware of this,
Yeah.
but I'm equally excited about it.
I'm excited about it too. I'm going to present to you 3 selections of products from office memorabilia, and you've got to tell me which one's higher and which one's lower.
I will only do this if next week we play 15 Taiwan and you get 15 items from Taiwan. Otherwise, I'm not doing it.
About 14 items. Okay, cool. So these are all taken from items that I've sourced on eBay, popular
So
auction
could I just
website.
clarify? This is memorabilia that's being sold on eBay about The Office or the XFM show, which is about The Office.
It's related to Ricky Gervais
Okay.
and The Office. So item 1 is the Office Complete Series 1 and 2 and the Christmas Specials DVD. Now that is at £2.87. Okay.
£2.87.
Yeah, that's a bargain, isn't it?
The entire Office, basically. The
Yeah,
entire Office.
everything,
£2.87.
including all the deleted scenes and
I paid
outtakes.
15 quid back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. So the next item you got to assess is it higher or lower? Mrs. Brown's Boys to movie with Brendan and Karl. This is new, and that's from 2014.
I know you wouldn't have asked me this if it was lower, so it's definitely higher.
What guess are you going to say?
Oh, do I guess the price as well? Well, I thought I'd just guess higher or lower.
You're,
but okay.
You're right in saying it's
I
higher.
would say £11.50.
It's £4.07.
Okay.
So you could be the happy owner of Mrs. Brown's Boys.
I didn't realise eBay had things this cheap. I might buy a hedge trimmer.
Well, you have a hedge.
No, I don't know, but I might buy a hedge trimmer anyway.
Next one. Karl Pilkington, An Idiot Abroad, Moaning of Life, signed photo, autograph.
Higher or lower than £4.07?
Well, this is a separate item, a separate series of items. So is that going to be higher or lower?
No, do it higher or lower than
Higher or lower.
£4.07. Higher. Fiver.
£74.99.
Say it again, what it was?
It's a Karl Pilkington, Idiot Abroad, Moaning of Life signed photo. It's just the photo. 75 quid.
Wow, I tell you what. Like this radio show that we're listening to now, that we'll get back to soon, but imagine then, Ricky wanted to promote Karl so much. Imagine if you said Karl Pilkington's signature will go for £74.
It's mental, isn't it?
Like, imagine what Ricky would have thought back then.
Higher or lower? Gary, Is It Just Me? Signed Miranda Hard book, 2012 autobiography.
I
There's a pause there.
would have thought.
An audible pause.
I would have. Well, it's audible, so let them listen to it.
I will.
I would have thought lower, but I don't think you'd have asked me this unless it was higher. So I'm going to say higher.
It's lower.
Oh, okay.
£44.99.
A snip at.
It's an absolute snip. Next one. The XFM Vault, the Best of Ricky Gervais Show with Stephen Merchant and Karl Pilkington, Volume 2. How much would you say the XFM Vault cost? Is it higher or lower than the signed Miranda Hart?
It might have sounded like there was a cut there, and that's because there was a cut for reasons that we won't even explain. I would. How much would I say the Miranda signed? You've done the Miranda.
Yeah, but how is the XFM Vault higher or lower?
Lower, much lower. Fiver.
Correct. Not £5, but it was £1.99.
Yeah.
Imagine that. You get £1.99. It's best of. It wouldn't be as good as this, what we're doing now.
Oh, do you mean this or what we're reviewing? No, because I think it would be better than this. I think it'll be a lot better than this.
That was £1.99. Okay, after that, it says the last item now. Sun TV magazine from 25th of March 2017. And this is the Mrs. Brown's Boys front cover. This is not the Radio Times. This is the Sun TV magazine. Is that higher or lower than the XFM Vault, the Best of Ricky Gervais?
Autographed.
No, just literally the front cover of a magazine.
So
With Brendan and Karl
it's
on.
from 2015, did you say?
2017.
2017, so it can't be considered anywhere an antique. Now, if you said to me 1994 and it was Father Ted or something, my answer would be different.
But I never would.
No, it never would. But I think it's lower than £1.99.
It's higher at £6.99. You could be the proud owner of an old Sun TV magazine.
Why? Because it says Mrs. Brown's on the front.
He's on the front of it as Mrs. Brown, that hilarious comedy character.
Oh, right, okay.
Imagine that, like having that in your flat and going, oh,
like
you're a fan?
Would you get like a picture frame to hang it on the wall?
Well, I never would.
No, not you. It's generic you, but you know. I'm questioning humanity here. Not
yeah, and
you
you should be.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you won Strike at Ricky. You got 2 out of 3.
So
What'd you win? You win a break, Gary. You get a lovely podcast
A break to like the
Do what you
Dominican
want.
Republic.
No, just a break from recording for a bit.
Okay, so can you press stop now? I'm now a wee.
I'll press stop. You won that game of Strike It Ricky, and you won a break. A whole break from me for about, how long were you away from me? I don't know, about 7 minutes?
No, it's about a minute, but...
You weren't counting.
Do you know, I feel like a new man.
You feel...
I do.
I like to give... I'm like the Father Christmas here. I like to give people exactly what they want on this show. And talking of what they want to hear more chat about episode 16th of October 2002. This is episode 9 of the Ricky Gervais show on XFM.
Yeah, and I genuinely, like, I don't know, I say this sometimes, and, you know, we say this generally, and it's fine, but I really would urge you to go listen to it. Mars, you'll put a link. Yeah, Mars does that. He puts a link. I literally can't do it. But Mars put a link. But please listen to it. It really is a good show. And actually, I would say if this is the first show of ours you've listened to, go back to the beginning of ours. Mainly because it gets our listener count up.
For other
reasons, it's because actually you'll get a good idea of the show from the beginning of when Karl was.
I'd say
involved.
we're getting better as well at this radio thing.
I think we're getting slightly worse, but we started from a low point, so it's fine.
I like that bit when Ricky's talking about when he's talking about that anecdote where he talks about the guy who's stealing the DVDs, and he goes, "I've got to tell you this before." Is that audible? That you can't quite hear what he's saying, but he's really slurring. He goes, "Talking is harder than you think."
Yeah.
And juxtaposing Gary, you know, I have been drunk on air, and talking is really hard when you're a bit pissed.
Do you remember that time? And I'm not going to say like. In general, we don't drink on it, but let's say we're certainly not drunk on it.
Let's say in a parallel universe when we're broadcasting on a hospital radio station between 2 and 4 of a Saturday
from Mars in a parallel universe, but we're not drunk on it. But we never were really drunk on it. But there was one time where we had just before we left. No, I had sambuca, you had tequila, but we just before we left, just the sambuca, and said, oh my god, on air I was spinning. I couldn't work the decks.
But
I hate
do you know what?
decks.
I really like a radio show because I think, in addition to this show being about the Ricky Gervais show, it is also about radio and the beauty of radio. The immediacy of radio. And you know, I love it when you get like a sneak behind the curtain, and you know, these talks about production meetings, and the fact that, you know, apparently I heard this from one of my colleagues who's much younger than me, and they were listening to Radio 1, and this is the day after the Brits, and apparently they were all joking about, you know, all the Radio 1 DJs were a bit pissed, a bit hungover because they
coked up,
yeah, probably, but because they went to the Brits, and that's obviously like a big date in the Radio 1 calendar. And I love the fact that maybe for one day out of 365 days, the Radio 1 DJs like let their guards slip and they you know, expose themselves to real people.
I would say that the Radio 1 DJs let their guards slip more than one day. I think that if you followed them, they would be. A lot of them are. You know, it's that thing because we did the episode with Claire, and it was like You know, which ones still have a problem but they don't realise it. But it's true. Steve it's a true thing. That's one thing about Ricky that I kind of admire still, even to this day. Like,
he used to be really pissed in the early shows, like the really, really early shows, and maybe at one point we'll come back to them because
I would like to come back to them because I'm less familiar with them than you are.
They're brilliant,
but
they're really brilliant.
I would say one thing that I genuinely believe about. There's like one thing, like a proverb: more people are on coke than you think. So
is that true? Is that something people say?
It's absolutely something people say. More people are on coke than you think. So but certainly in media. But I do believe, and I don't believe this is like a pretend thing. Ricky has probably never tried drugs, and that kind of, I admire that in him.
I think he probably did in the early days when he was like on the dole and stuff. So is everyone.
I honestly believe kind of that he hasn't, because if he had then, he probably would be on them now. Steve probably has, but
I think for all
Karl
of
definitely has.
No. But I think he's scared of them. He says he's scared of drugs, and I'm scared of drugs actually. To be fair,
I'm trying to get Mars off. Not get Mars off. Keep Mars off. Because he's not.
And if you'd like to donate to the campaign, keep Miles off drugs. Please listen and subscribe, and subscribe.
There's a twin campaign going on. Keep Gary on drugs.
Yeah, that's an often proverb that people use. You know,
that's a joke.
Gary, Gervais pitches a lot of different scenarios to Karl. Like, what would you rather do?
I was thinking of doing something to you, but I couldn't be bothered.
I
know, I couldn't be bothered.
Gary, what animal would you never trust? Now, Karl chooses...
He chooses the perfect... Because a wasp, you wouldn't. I don't think I'd trust a beaver.
A beaver? Why?
Because
you just like saying beaver, don't you?
I do, yeah, it's so true.
Gary, for a long time we had this fixation on an image of a family of beavers from the Sylvanian family collection, which is still one of the funniest photos. If we were to do make Gary Forrestal laugh, I would give you that image. And maybe we might even tweet that image.
Every year... Roughly, not exactly on the dot, but every year, roughly, I send Mars that image.
Twat me that image.
I WhatsApped him that image, and he laughs at it. So.
I do guffaw, yeah. As be fair. What animal would you never trust?
I don't know. I don't think I'd trust a fox. They're a bit foxy.
I had a Mexican standoff with a fox once, where we just both looked at each other and gazed at each other, and I was like,
Did you make love after?
No, I thought I just have to get to my flat now because he's just going to bite my leg or something. For his hungry family.
They do smell
I
bad
left a chicken carcass out, and he just in a bin once, and I literally watched. I used to watch just foxes.
Is that for your girlfriend?
This is a very cheap activity if you're looking for dating activities. Just watch fox rip open bin bags, and it took this chicken carcass out, and I was like, I can just see it running from the Americanos. I call my ankles the Americanos.
Oh my God! And that I'll say this because you might listen to that and think it's a joke.
Well,
he does. No, you might. But I know him. I don't know he did that, but I know that's true. Because you do. But
I don't do any exercise, so it's a miracle that my calves are that huge. It's mental.
My calves are quite. I like the shape of my calves, but I don't like the shape of my thighs because they're too fat. But my calves are just the right proportion.
You're listening to Fat Cast here.
One thing about Mars is, as well, he never wears shorts.
You will never see me. You will never see me in a pair of shorts. You did, and I was uncomfortable. There was a reason why.
We were naked in bed together as well, weren't we?
No, we weren't. Gary, what would you rather be?
If Kalina's listening.
Would you be a donkey carrying Mary, a Saigon prostitute in 1975, or Moby Dick?
Do you know, I'd probably be the prostitute because she's earning a lot of money.
She is in 1975 as well.
Good tip.
Saigon. Gary, would you rather be Frog Boy, Amploid, or Sado?
I've genuinely thought about this my whole life because I've listened to... Well, my whole life that I've listened to this podcast. That's the thing. Actually, you don't know this. I am actually Sado. If someone speaks to me, they do get sad for the rest of the day. That's why we're doing this podcast, because we're both Sado.
We're about to do we'll do our favourite quotes very, very soon.
I've got about 28. So.
We'll get to them. But I had a strong fascination with when he went, well, I listened to that for about 20 times after that, literally sequentially.
Yeah, I do like
I just thought there's something really funny about the human voice and what you can be. What is so funny about the human voice, you know? So you would be Sado and make people cry when you walk
No,
into a ring?
I wouldn't. I am Sado. I wouldn't pick that, but I happen to have those superpowers. But I would probably pick. What was the first one? I can't remember.
Frog Boy. Amploid. What? Come here.
Frog Boy. I'd like Karl.
You go. Blop,
Yeah.
blop. One that I really like is when he goes, "Would you rather have a lemon for a head,
A radio.
a radio for a
What's
head?"
next? And Carl goes Radiohead.
Oh,
No,
we've
you've
done that.
one. Done that.
And Steve's laugh after that is really he's good.
Yeah.
Or a talking head. And he goes, it's my head.
It's my head. That's an interesting point, actually, because
Thanks very much. I made it to
no,
me.
not the point you made, but the point I'm about to make. So, I'm bigging myself up. I'm bigging up my role here.
Well, please do, because the start of the show wasn't any good, so please continue making it good.
If Steve laughs during the show, because he doesn't laugh that often, if he laughs, you know it's really funny. Like, if Steve laughs at
Well,
something...
he just can't believe some of the stuff that's
Yeah, but there's some sequences that happen between Ricky and Karl that are really funny. You don't hear Steve. Steve doesn't... You do not hear Steve. He doesn't laugh. But... So when Steve does laugh, he's got that laugh... Like, when Ricky laughs, it's just... It's great, like, it's lovely to hear Ricky's laugh, but it might not be funny necessarily outside of Ricky and Karl. But it makes it funny that Ricky
I don't
laughs.
understand how people can get annoyed or, like, that hate Ricky's laugh, because it's from the heart. He means it. Like, he genuinely finds the stuff hilarious. And it's that thing of, laughter is the best medicine, and it's contagious. And I think his laugh is just so infectious. Like, it's affectionate, it's loving, because they are really good friends. Like,
It's warm.
Yeah, it's warm love. And of course he's taking the piss out of Karl a bit, but
That's the thing, I think...
we've all got friends like that who we sort of take the piss out of a bit.
Yeah, I think both of us. For us, it's you. A few people, me and a few guys who know you, it's you. But I think both of us feel the same in that when I see interviews with Ricky now, his laugh doesn't seem as real or as warm
Yeah.
or as and I know a lot of people who listen to this will be massive fans of Ricky. I say a lot of it, like whoever, out as a proportion, massive fans of Ricky. And you might hear me say that and think, what do you mean? Like, of course, he's fun. It's not radically different, but go back and listen to some interviews he's done recently and listen to his laugh. It seems a bit more manufactured. And that is not, I'm not criticising anything about Ricky on this show that we're doing or in this whole period that we're reviewing. But go back and listen to his recent interviews, and he doesn't seem as genuine. That's just my take. I think you agree with me.
I do. Like, he does that thing with, getting coffee with, Jerry Seinfeld. And it's just like, it either seems like really awkward or really put on, but never feels authentic in the same way. And actually, it doesn't seem authentic actually in the podcasts. He goes...
It does seem authentic to me, but it doesn't seem as authentic. It does not seem as authentic. And that's why we specifically chose not to review the podcast, but to review the XFM shows, because we love these. We're falling in love with these.
Oh.
We actually, it's a bit, yeah. Anyway,
What do you think he looks right of hair then?
I can't wait till we get to the episode. But in fact, I am worried because my uni people who listen.
Gary's so worried about your uni people.
No, let's not do it. But I am genuinely, because
right.
It's a very,
Don't worry about it.
But Ricky in the podcast had already started to wane to being not as genuine as he was in the XFM show. These shows I love because Ricky is one of the funniest people I've ever heard or seen. He did
Why
The
are you
Office.
whispering?
I'm not whispering. I'm not whispering.
What are you whispering?
Oh, no, I'm not. No, Ricky's one of the funniest people I've ever heard or seen. But he's only funny in this short 3-year period. And to me, I know you might love Ricky now. And if you do, I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong, but I'm just saying go back and listen to some of the interviews and see what you think, because actually re-review it, because I let my love for Ricky cloud my judgment of him, like my judgment of him in more recent times for a long time, but now I've looked back and realised I don't see the same, and it's not. And this now, you're right, when he laughs at the thing, when he it's so real and genuine. That's apart from it being funny, it's really funny, but apart from it being funny, the main thing that keeps it brilliant is the fact that it's genuine and real.
And just to wrap that up, Gary, would you rather be a puppy or a kitten?
Puppy.
Looks better.
Like to hump a leg.
Oh, God.
Really funny.
Oh,
Can I just say-
gone.
Can I just say that was probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen?
Are you recording now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Can you just describe what's happened?
I can't. No. It's just, basically, I'll sum it up. We attract strange people, especially this pub.
How did you describe this pub earlier?
Well, actually, one of the things that interested me about it was actually on every single TV that they had inside, they're showing racing. So it's every single TV, aren't they?
So they've been to a betting shop before.
Been to Ladbrokes.
What got me was that guy. He gave you a noogie before he left.
Because
he ruffled your hair.
if it had been down to you,
I can see the inside of your soul as he did that.
no, but
furious
I
you
was
were
pleased he went. But you would have invited him to the table, been like, "Hello, come join the pot."
Rubbish.
He was complete.
You just look around, make sure it's not there.
He's off his head. On
He's a brummie, isn't he?
substances, rather.
Which
than
actually brings me up to the point where Karl Pilkington he relates a story and he's talking about leaving the kid in a wheelie bin.
Yeah. Well, I've put a thing about that. Can I just interject here? Do you believe that story? Because I don't believe that story.
Okay, so
I don't believe it.
Let's go through the story. So, Karl Pilkington's dad was a cabbie at one point, and at one point he says he used to drive people to Blackpool from Manchester, which is about, how far is that? I don't know.
It's about 70 miles.
Do you work for the travel office?
I don't know. I mean, I might be wrong.
And he describes this point where he puts a child with learning difficulties into a wheelie bin.
A wheelie bin.
Because he was getting out of hand. And Ricky loses it. He goes, because he was getting out of hand. He picked the lad up and put him in a wheelie bin.
It's just because Karl describes the story, and then he describes the story, and Ricky laughs. He doesn't even ask. He just goes, and then just goes. He picked him up and put him in a wheelie bin. I've got that as one of my favourite quotes, actually.
And he goes, every time he says it, I do believe he did it, incidentally.
But think about this. I used to, but he's driving to Blackpool.
What, put a lad in a wheelie bin?
There's a lad making trouble on the minibus. He stops, takes him out, puts him in a wheelie bin, drives to Blackpool, and on the way back picks him up again. Come on.
Well, I've worked this out, actually. On the way back, so he's leaving for Blackpool, he puts him in a bin. It takes 44 minutes to get to Blackpool from Manchester, and 44 minutes back. What's that, an hour and 30 minutes? About an hour and 30 minutes.
But they stay in Blackpool for a certain amount of time. They don't just come straight back.
Yeah, you're right.
They don't just go to Blackpool and say, oh, there's Blackpool, see you later.
See you later. How long is that kid in the bin for then?
5-6 hours. There's no way. I don't believe. Because
he wasn't a normal kid, apparently.
There are some stories that Karl tells, and he tells them differently each time. Now, there's one, we'll get to it, obviously, when we get to the episode, but there's one where he tells about his mum's or his auntie's boyfriend looks like Ken Dodd.
Yeah.
Now, he tells that two different ways. He tells that as I said nice to meet you, Ken, and he says his dad says nice to meet you, Ken, at a different time. I'm sure all of these stories from Karl, he's very real, and I'm not saying he's lying completely. I'm just saying it's embellished. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying it's like it's not quite what happened.
Well,
I've actually put that cab story embellished ? That's part of my prep. Don't knock it.
You haven't done a lot of preparation for the show.
There's a little preparation.
Gary,
Let's do some favourite quotes.
let's do some top quotes of the show.
I will start.
gonna
Because you've got some as well.
Okay,
so
go on then.
We got a lot of this. This is not sequentially, but just in order of what I've written them. Karl, are you hungover as well? Karl's just a bit so. Karl, are you hungover? That's a great line from Steve. Really good line from Steve.
The last bit where he says, "Right, see you then." That's one of my favourites.
See you then.
See, this Ricky's just so fed up with that.
Yeah,
He's so fed up with that voice.
Another one I like is that's next week's stuff. Like when Carl's doing the Rockbuster surprises, that's next week's stuff. Like it's a really funny line, and actually that line shows, and amongst other lines, how funny. Apart from anything else, not funny, being stupid, just genuinely have a good sense of humour. Karl
he
has.
does.
That's next week's stuff. Brilliant line.
It's that bit because in this week's they're giving away the Peter Horton.
I still want to get Peter Horton on the show.
I want you to get Peter Horton on the show.
Imagine if we got Peter on the show. What would I ask you? Like,
I don't know the first thing about Peter.
I know,
Horton.
but I don't. But we don't need to. We just say. So they gave away your DVD, Children of the Corn, and they mentioned your name. What do you think about that, Peter Horton?
He's 200 quid. Thanks for coming down.
See you later. I wouldn't pay it.
And number
75 quid max.
And number 5. I don't know where I got that from. I don't know where I got it from.
Yeah.
Well, that's when he's talking about his facts that he always gets from Ananova.
Yeah.
And he's going, I don't know where I got that from.
Don't know where I got it from.
I love it.
I've not arbitrary, is it? This film title is not going to be arbitrary. This film title is not going to be arbitrary.
And number 4, I've got. I don't want my name to this. It's the Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, that's a great line. Again,
because
really
Karl Pilkington, he goes. Also, like what we were saying about in the last episode when we were discussing, the interviews that he's had with selective podcasts and how much was riding on this show, and like he really couldn't afford to get sacked.
Yeah.
And so that was like signposting to go. I don't want my name to this.
Yeah, no.
I literally don't want my name to this.
He really reads into it well. Mine is, I'm coming out of my hangover if you were worried. Like, that's such a funny line, because Ricky, and Steve laughs at that, because he's like, if you were worried, as if the listeners would have been worried. Like, oh my God, is he going to get out of it? Is he going to survive?
I like the fact this is one of the few instances where he's actually drank water, and not because it was boring.
Lemonade.
Is it lemonade?
Drink lemonade.
That's actually not in my top quote.
That's gonna. Oh, can I? I'll come to my next one. So, is there any lemonade? And it's not got that bit. It's like Steve going, sorry, like, because that's what you would do. Like, we're being paid to broadcast on a London-based radio show. We're being paid money. Sorry, like, sorry. What do you mean? Like,
and
you want lemonade? You're asking for lemonade, sir.
And also, someone would have had to have gone out to buy them lemonade, wouldn't they? Do you not think they've had to get an intern or something?
Station would have had.
And number 3, you're disqualified from the comp.
From the comp, the person who did that.
The person who did
Flaming Lips.
The person who did the Rockbusters. Yeah. He's taking it so seriously, and then that's also followed up with that's one of mine.
Yeah. This is a subtle one, very very subtle, but I've like. When Ricky, he does these dialogues in his head. One of the things we love about Ricky is the word that we love him saying more than ever in The Office.
Winners.
The Office. This is yeah. But he does a great one where he goes, "They've still got the tags on." Yeah, like he can't even be bothered to say
Talking
it. Talking
about things we say often, I often go, yeah.
You do, but we both do, but you do particularly.
I love it.
What's your next quote?
My next quote, and this is number 2. Don't bring your own. I've seen him. He's got 2 big bags on. He's talking about DJ Shadow, who is actually still going.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
Into that? Oh my God!
DJ Shadow, we can get tickets for him. But seriously, don't bring your own, because he's got 2 big bags.
Has he got 2 big bags of him?
But he sounds so drunk there. I've seen him.
He does sound drunk, but I think he's just hungover. Probably my favourite quote from the episode is, "A wasp, never." A wasp.
Oh really?
Never. Yeah, like that's such
a good quote. Actually.
A wasp. Never. Because Ricky, it's just, and all these quotes, most of these quotes only work because of Ricky's laugh afterwards.
And that's true. Which actually brings me to number 1, which of course was going to be, and we've just mentioned it. He picked him up and put him in a wheelie bin. Yeah. And afterwards I put Ricky Bursts.
Yeah, Ricky Bursts, yeah, absolutely. But also when he says, I didn't put this in my top quotes, but actually when he says, there's a shadow somewhere, and he just says it, like, he says it, and he's got
like
that childlike cadence, what he does when he knows something he's saying funny, like, there's a shadow somewhere. And that's all you need to say, and he knows Ricky will laugh at that.
Well, can I actually add to that? Because actually I've got a bit of XFM trivia here if you're interested.
I'm not interested, but
I've actually found the original article from where that's from. It's called It's called Strange Days, and it's saying an allegedly mythical character called El Petizo, a shadow that attacks lone travelers at night, has been appearing in Salta province in northern Argentina. 6 people have reportedly been wounded by it and are treated in the nearest hospital. So it's legit. He's literally read this stuff.
I don't think that's the article he read, is it?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Found it.
We don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm saying you don't know.
Gary,
that
who
sure.
does the preparation for this show?
Yes, but it's not as good as preparation.
I'm good as
preparation. It's preparation. It's
Gary, I want to wrap this up because I'm bored of talking to you, mate.
oh, you get bored. A lot of people say that to me.
And also, I want to invite listeners of the D Chart Spinners podcast to apply to this feature, which is XFM in the community.
Yeah, okay.
And XFM in the community, I've basically scouted the threads of this episode on YouTube, and I've found some quotes that might be quite nice to share with you, Gary. This is from Adam Jordanson. This is from 4 years ago. I lose myself in these XFM shows. It's like a form of escapism. I'm at ease and chilled out and can listen for hours. Just nice.
Nice. Adam Jordanson. That's a strange name.
Don't have a go at him.
Adam Jordan.
Karl is
that's a name. Not Adam
Karl
Jordanson.
is so right about dragging out educating Ricky. I really important things I need to be doing right now, but I started listening. I can't turn off until they hear What's Tomato with You. So much work not getting done.
Yeah, that's a good comment. Yeah.
This is from Green Circuit. This is from 2 years ago. Karl was actually somewhat accurate on the tomatoes thing. It was in ancient Greece, and people thought they were poisonous because they belonged to the nightshade genome.
That's true, and I know that separately from my studies.
Of tomato
criminology. No, I do. That is true. The lead reacted with the acid in the tomatoes.
I don't contest that for a second.
I don't doubt it, Gary.
This is
more.
This is from, oh, can I give you 2 more?
Go on, 2 more then. Yeah.
Okay, this is from Jake Bush. Gosh, Ricky is disgusting on radio. He has to hate himself listening back to it. You hear him breathing on every episode, and the sections of him eating and chewing are absolutely vile.
Oh, fuck off! I mean, to be fair, I hate. Do you know the bit? That reminds me. I hate in general on people on radio. I hate people eating not they're not doing it in a disgusting way, but when they're all eating crisps, I don't like that.
No,
bit
I don't want to hear that.
All. I don't like that bit at all.
I'm actually quite pedantic about my eating habits. And
both of us are. I think we're both so, like.
Yeah. There's actually a podcast with the critic from the food critic from a broadsheet newspaper. And
why don't you say what it is?
I can't remember.
Are you not allowed?
Name.
Oh, I thought you were like we don't have permission.
Careful, I literally can't remember.
Guardian, probably.
It's not from I do read the Guardian, but it's not. I think it's from
Telegraph. You read the Telegraph as well.
Is that a racist newspaper? I don't know.
Yes.
I don't read that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, anyway, this guy, and he has one, and he has like guests on, and they order food, and they eat the food. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And my last one, this is from the Awesome Pawsome 3 years ago. Gotta hand it to them. Ricky can deploy dead air to devastating clarity. As much as I hate the ruthless treatment Karl endures at times, when his absurd statements are met with a few seconds of silence and the deadpan response, I crack up.
Yeah, I think we both can confer with that.
I've got to wrap this up now because it's actually raining.
It is raining on all our equipment. I put my phone in my pocket, but he's got.
My laptop's actually getting wrecked.
I just want to say one thing.
Next
week, okay, this is a little teaser. Next week is actually the funniest thing I think Karl Pilgrim's ever said on any XFM show, podcast. Don't guess it now. Just let the listeners know. Podcast, XFM show, Idiot Abroad, anything. It's the funniest thing he's ever said. Next week, coming up next week. My thing. No, don't guess it.
You don't get that on Radio 1.
You probably do. Sadly, I'm Chris Moyle. I'm Radio Dave.
He's on Radio X now. We'd be lucky to be on there, mate. I'd also like, before we wrap up the show, I'd like to urge us to listen to the Dutch or Otherwise shows that we broadcast them periodically.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
In the same post, And basically,
but what we might do, if you're listening, in 3 months' time, we may have taken them off this. We're putting them on YouTube, possibly. We don't know what we're going to do with them, but they will certainly be on YouTube. If you search Dutch or otherwise, they'll be on YouTube.
But for now, they're in the same place, and basically they're essentially.
But they might not be. If someone listens 3 months in,
they're basically just tracking Gary and I's sort of creative journey and the sort of funny escapades we get up to along the way.
It couldn't be more boring. But listen, download it 5 times so we get up in the figures.
Gary, I want to wrap this up now. Like I said that before, but I really mean it this time.
We really both do.
They introduced the feature.
I need a wig.
They introduced the feature, a song with a story, and every week Gary and I. Thank you very much. Gary and I like to introduce a song to the D Trout Spinners library, and now if this show. If the show was being broadcast on radio, you wouldn't get a cough like that. But you also would get music between the hilarious sections.
You're trying to say basically we give 2 songs and that's it.
Yeah, that's cool. So my song that I'm going to put into, and my favourite song with a story, is a Dedicated Follower of Fashion by the Kinks, and that'll be available in the D Trout Spinners library on Spotify, the playlist.
To me, that isn't a song with a story. That's a song about a dedicated follower of fashion, but it's not. There's not a narrative there.
I think the narrative is because I've linked it to my own time when I was 22.
Yeah, but there might be the case, but there's not a separate narrative.
I think it's just, it's
He's a dedicated follower of fashion.
It's a great song.
It is a great
song, and it's just about this guy who goes, he sort of escapades around Camden Town, and he puts on different clothes, and he's like dedicated to fashion.
Yeah, he's dedicated to fashion.
All right.
I mean, I get it. Mine is.
But it reminds me of a special time in my life, Gary.
You just want to say that. I know.
When I was younger and sexier and had more going for me, mate. What's your song, mate?
Oh, well, actually, mine is similar. It's not a song with a story, but it's actually it relates to what we're saying. It's by Oasis. I'm gonna say this now. No, don't.
Can we just put like Definitely Maybe in the fucking?
No, it's not Definitely Maybe. It's called Stay Young. And
I like
it's a B-side. It's on
that
the
doesn't have
master
a story
plan.
though, does it?
No. Wait, yeah. Hey, stay young. You're invincible.
Because he now is.
I really need a week.
All right.
It's over.
Let's wrap this up. My name has been Miles Purnell,
My
and I've been joined
still
by.
is Gary Forrester.
It's always going to be Gary Forrester unless you
I know,
change it because you're an absolute.
Maybe if I get married and I'm like, oh, you can take my name.
That will never happen because we live in a post-Me Too world, and that will never happen. All right.
What's that mean?
I don't even know.
All right. See you later.
Thank you very much for listening. Bye bye. Oh, and like and subscribe as well.
No, don't. It's not worth liking and subscribing. Don't like and subscribe. No, hang on. My advice to you.
I'm going to edit it out.
No, don't edit it down. Don't like and subscribe. Keep all that in. If you don't, I will never do this show again with you.